Recently, I've been traveling with my family to visit some relatives on the West Coast, and I brought some games with me. In particular, I wanted to bring small travel games that were easy to carry around, and possibly also very simple, very straightforward games, so that I could play them with my 6-year-old daughter and possibly also with my wife. We knew we were gonna have some extra time to play together, and my wife is not into complicated games. Settlers of Catan, Carcassonne pretty much sets the bar for the level of complexity up to which she feels comfortable. Qwixx, the game I'm telling you about today, is again that meets those requirements. It's not more complicated than the games I just mentioned. Very simple, very small and portable. It comes, at least in this edition, with a nice little box that has a magnetic latch. The game is a dice game. It comes with a set of 2 white and 4 color 6-sided dice. Color aside, they are absolutely normal 6-sided dice. Then you also have a scoring pads or pad or play sheet. And there should also be a rule sheet, which I now realize I must have lost. I must have left this somewhere on the West Coast, so I guess that's gone. Oh well, I know the game, so I don't really need the rules anymore. To start the game, each player receives one of these sheets. There is a pad that comes with the game. It's not super thick, but you should be able to play for a while. And then once you're done, you can replenish it by ordering another one from GameRight. Also, you can make your own. These sheets, in truth, are pretty simple to make. During the game, you will roll dice and cross out the boxes on these tracks. The golden rule is that you only cross out boxes from left to right, never in the opposite direction. When it is your turn, you roll all the dice. And then you can do one of several things. You look at the 2 white dice and you add them together, and you can cross out any one number on your scoring pad that corresponds to the sum of those dice. So I can cross out any 6 on my pad here, again following the golden rule. If I already have a 7 on the red track, then I cannot cross out the 6 anymore. As you can see, 2 tracks go up from 2 to 12 and 2 go down from 12 to 2, which is kind of interesting for a variety of reasons. So I could cross out any 6 that I want on my pad. Then also, as the active player, I can choose to add together either the white dice with any of the color dice and cross out the corresponding result, the sum of the 2 dice, on the track of the color dice that I've used. For example, if I put the 2 dice like this, I can cross out the yellow 4. Or I could cross out the red 5, the green 5, or the blue 7. Since both the white dice are the same, these are the only options that I have right now. So when I'm the active player, I can cross out 1 or 2. It can be either one. I can cross out only the white result, I can cross out only the color result, or both, or none. If I'm the active player and I cross out no numbers, however, I take a penalty. I cross out a box here in this penalty, and that will be penalty area, and that will be -5 points at the end of the game. So that's pretty bad. Why would I do so? Because after a while that the players have been playing and you have locked and you have crossed out a lot of boxes, simply you may not be able to cross anything. Suppose that now I only have, like 11 here, 10 here, and 4 here, and 3 here, then simply there isn't anything here that I would be able to cross out anymore, and they take a penalty instead. Now, so when you're an active player, you can cross out 1, 2, or 0 numbers. However, when you're not the active player, you're still engaged, because you can cross out a number on your scoring pad equal to the white dice. So the white dice are pretty much public. Everyone can use them every turn. As I'm considering whether I'm going to cross out 0, 1, or 2 dice during my turn, the other players can cross out a 6 on their scoring pad. In this turn, again, I can cross out 0, 1, or 2, putting dice together, but anybody and everyone, including me, the active player, can cross out an 8. This is very interesting because, again, everybody is involved, engaged every time. Everybody can choose to take the result of the white dice any and every turn, as long as it doesn't break the golden rule. To cross out the last box in a row, you need to already have at least 5 axes in that row. So if I roll a 12 or somebody else's turn and they roll a 12 on the white dice, I won't be able to cross out that 12 unless I already have 5 on that track. So as the game progresses, the tracks fill out and the options are reduced, increasing it. If somebody does cross out the last box on a track, they also get to put an X on that lock, which is good because it's extra points at the end of the game, and the corresponding die is removed from the game. So if somebody crosses out the red 12, then the red die is removed. No one can cross out red boxes for the rest of the game. The game continues until either 2 of the dice have been removed, any 2 of the colored dice, or somebody crosses out their last penalty box. At that point, the game is over and people score points. How do you do so? You score each row individually. So I count how many X's I have on the red track, and then I look at this section of the play 8 here to determine how many points I score. If I have 4 X's on a row, that row is worth 15 points. If I have 7, it's 28. If I have 9, it's 45. And I write down the corresponding result. So I score and determine the scoring of each row individually, and it's good to have, again, a cross on a lock because that also counts as one of the crosses that give you a point. You score each row individually, you subtract possible penalties from that area, and then you look at the total, and the player with the highest total of points wins the game. This is Qwixx, a game that, as the name says, is very quick. Oh, here's some sheet that I haven't used yet entirely. Well, one I have, but I remember that my daughters wanted to keep it as a memento, but this one I can still use. They're double-sided. The game is very quick. It's very quick. It's very simple. It's very light. And yes, you can play it with very casual gamers, with non-gamers. If you're playing it with hardcore, seasoned players of board games, then you will want to play this game really just as a simple filler between other games. But for casual gamers, this can be the main course of the game night, also because a game night with casual players usually doesn't last as long as with committed players. You play for an hour, for a little longer than that. But definitely it is a game that does not overstay its welcome, and it has the one more game dynamic to it. It's slightly addictive, as really, if you had the time, will you play just a game? Once you play one, whoever did not win will want to play another game, because it feels, in any case, that playing a game didn't drain your mental energy. It took probably 10 minutes, 15 tops, if players really delayed for a long time. So it has that very quick, very smooth flow. I like the fact that, different from other games, you're not just sitting there waiting for your turn to come around. It's not one of those games that if you're playing it with 5 players and you only play during your turn, then you only play 20% of the game, and you're still looking what other people are doing, but it's not the same as being involved, because you want to see what the white result is every turn, because you can cross out that number. Very interesting. So you have interesting decisions to make every turn. I don't know if it's a push your luck game. It's more like a delay your luck game. You're trying, of course, to delay as much as possible, not to take numbers that will force you to skip too many rows. And so sometimes you have no-brainer decisions, because if you have an X and there is a way for you to cross out the number, which is the next one, without skipping, then that's a no-brainer. There may be cases where you could cross out 2 and then you have to decide which one. So it's not a game that is very deep in the sense that every decision is gripping. Sometimes you do go on autopilot. But there are also other times, a lot of them, since every turn you can potentially add a number, many turns where you do have interesting decisions, where you do feel like, I really don't want to skip 3 numbers. I have a 9 here. I want to cross out a 5 because there's such a big gap. But then I see that my opponents are getting close to the end of the blue row, so maybe I should get that 5 so I can get something before before I won't be able to add any result to that one anymore. Or maybe I do have, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 results already. Then jumping here would allow me to have 5, and then if I'm lucky would allow me to lock that row. And if I can lock it early, then other players cannot score anymore. So there are decisions to be made that are not mind-blowing, not earth-shattering, but they are interesting enough within the context, within the frame of such a simple, light, straightforward filler. Also, you have to decide if you want to specialize on a single row. Yeah, it is great, it is exciting to blow through a single row and lock it, but then somebody else maybe will lock another row and the game will be over, and you have a huge amount of points here, like 1 or 0 points on the other rows is still not all that great. So be strong in all the tracks is the best way to play the game, but of course it's not easy because there's only a limited number of resources here at the axis that you're crossing out. So a very simple, very linear filler, one that my wife enjoyed, which is remarkable. She, again, doesn't play many games these days, and when she plays a game, there's a little bit of like, okay, let's do a favor to the rest of the family, they'll graciously join the game. But this one is one that she liked, and actually she even asked to play a game again. So that's something. That is something. As for me, may not be my favorite game, may not even be my favorite filler because it is really light, but every time that I played it, I enjoyed it. I think it may be one of my go-to fillers when I'm around with my family, definitely. My daughter Amelia enjoyed it. She's 6, adding numbers together, that is good for her little brain, gets little wheels inside, and cogs and moving parts inside her brain to work. It's good for her, and she's pretty good, actually. She's pretty good, because she's usually a very cautious player, and it may seem like that's not much, but I'm a little more of a reckless player, so there are times in which she wins simply because she's more methodical than I am. And she has won many times without me doing anything to let her win, just honest, straightforward victory. So Qwixx is a simple family game, very simple, very straightforward, very light, but within that category, definitely it is a good game.